Ladies and gentlemen, the webinar will shortly begin. Please rise for the national anthem of the Republic of Indonesia. You may now be seated. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. May peace be upon us. Please do allow me to greet the Honorable Governor of Bank Indonesia, His Excellency Dr. Peri Warjio, Rector of Indonesia International Islamic University, Professor Dr. Komarudin Hidayat, all distinguished speakers, Head of SME Development and Consumer Protection Department, Bank Indonesia, Mrs. Yunita Resmisari, Director of Policy Programs and Implementation Alliance for Financial Inclusions, Mr. Eliki Boletawa, Director of Economic Empowerment, Islamic Development Bank, Dr. Nabil Ghalib, Head of PP Salimah, Mrs. Eti Pratiknyawati, Chief Financial Officer of PT Etis Fintech Indonesia, Mr. Jamil Abbas, Analyst of Sukuk Negara Project, Ministry of Finance, Mr. Wawan Sugiarto, PhD, and also our distinguished moderators, Associate Professor Dr. Murniati Mukhlisin and Dr. Lisa Listiana. Ladies and gentlemen, respected guests and participants, a very good morning to all of you. My name is Anissa Hasmawati, and it is an honor to be your host for today's event. Welcome to the seminar on Financial Inclusion and Sustainable Economy, the side event of G20 Presidency 2022 and part of Road to 9th Indonesia Sharia Economic Festival 2022. We will have an auspicious program ahead of us today, where this program aims to explore the best practices by the government institutions, international agencies, central banks, and other financial institutions in promoting financial literacy and inclusion to the wider community. Today's event is also a showcase outlet for concrete financial inclusion support programs through various Sharia financial products. Our agenda for today will begin with welcoming speech by Professor Dr. Komarudin Hidayat from IIIU, followed by keynote address from Governor of Bank Indonesia, Dr. Peri Warjio. And then we will proceed with the discussion as the main agenda. To proceed with our agenda this morning, let us all now take time to listen faithfully to the recitation of Holy Quran, Surah Al-Baqarah, verse 254 by Ustadz Sunarto.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم
Tapi kalau mau sholat enggak, jadi saya ngisi ada acara.
أيها الذين آمنوا أنفقوا مما رزقناكم من قبل أن يأتي يوم لا بيع فيه ولا خلة ولا شفاعة والكافرون هم الظالمون صدق الله العظيم.
Thank you very much, Ustadz Sunarto, for the beautiful recitations of Holy Quran. Ladies and gentlemen, let us continue this event with a welcome speech from Rector of IIIU. Please give a warm welcome for His Excellency, Professor Dr. Komarudin Hidayat.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin wassalatu wassalamu ala asyrafil anbiya wal mursalin sayyidina wa maulana Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajmain. The Governor of Bank Indonesia, Bapak Peri Warjio, and distinguished guests, distinguished speakers, and all participants. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. It is with great pleasure to welcome you to this joint program of Bank Indonesia, the Indonesian Islamic International University, the National Committee for the Islamic Economic and Finance Development, the Indonesian Islamic Economic Society, and the Indonesian Association of Islamic Economists, which is organized to discuss the topic on the ideas of Islamic finance vis-a-vis financial inclusion in achieving sustainable economy as one of the exit strategies. I am on a view that the topic is very timely to address the national concern on how the Islamic economic and finance could serve as one of formidable pillars of the post-pandemic economic recovery. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, as we may aware, this prolonged pandemic has created multi-dimensional pressure to the society, which adversely affected the health system, the traders, and subsequently the fundamental economy of the globe. Policy mix has been put in place to mitigate the impact which cover the public health policy and the economic policy. Despite the implementation of such policy, several economic sectors and certain segments in the society have gone under pressure. The downturn of the economic condition and the social welfare are indicated by the slowdown of the economic growth and the increase of the poverty. On the other hand, the implementation of the health system measure in terms of social distancing, and in extreme case, the lockdown policy has given birth to the acceleration of the digitalization process of the economy. After years-long periods of mitigation and remedy, the efforts are paid off. Finally, we can see the light at the end of the tunnel. A sign of economic recovery has emerged, although well-calculated policy responses still needs to be in place. To support speedy economic recovery, there is a need to establish a new equilibrium that promote the financial system that support a real economy, creates more ethical and responsible financial practices, and bolster the commitment to attain socio-economic objective. Islamic finance, strengthened by digital framework, is relevant in offering such new equilibrium to the financial stability and economic development. Islamic digital finance could redescribe the basic features of financial system and empower the economic production and broader economic society, including those with low income. In a great extent, it is also promoting the element of justice and fairness, sustainability, and inclusion as the essential element required by the real economy to produce value-added activities. Moreover, Islamic economic and finance stands on some fundamental principles, which include the use of risk-sharing concept instead of risk transfer, discouragement to excessive external borrowing, beside the expenses on ethical investment activities, social inclusivity, and other Sharia-specific preferences. Those principles of Islamic finance offer some advantages, which would enhance the understanding of basic relationship between financial sector and real economy that is characterized by equity-based transaction and ethics. Furthermore, the risk-sharing principle could promote the partnership in the society rather than having lender-debtor relationship. There are two main issues discussed in the seminar today. Firstly, the discussion on the digitalization process and how it could promote financial literacy and subsequently improve the financial inclusion. Secondly, the seminar would like to share the information about program on the Islamic financial for better inclusivity by using digital technology firsthand from the main actors in the industry. Islamic economic and finance should be able to gain the momentum for the economic recovery by technologically embracing the current technological development. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the organizer, particularly the Indonesian International Islamic University or IIIU, I would like to welcome you all to this high-level seminar which serves as an effective medium for discussion and elaboration. I'm also very pleased to find that this program has succeeded in inviting high-caliber speakers, which ensures the relevant and high-quality discussion. Thank you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you very much, Professor Dr. Komarudin Hidayat, for your welcoming speech. And now, allow us to welcome the Honorable Governor of Bank Indonesia to deliver his keynote address. Please join me in welcoming His Excellency Dr. Peri Warjio.
Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillahilladzi an'amana binikmati wal iman wal islam wal ihsan. Allahumma sallim wa sallim ala sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa salam. My dear brother, Professor Dr. Komarudin Hidayat, Director of Indonesian International Islamic University, Dr. Muhammad Al-Nasir, speaker, distinguished participants. It is my great honor as the Governor of Central Bank to deliver this remark to this high-level seminar on Islamic financial inclusion and sustainable economy. This is because touching my heart as the Governor of Central Bank, and also touching the heart of Bank Indonesia, which is one of my and our priority program is inclusion of the economic and finance, both from the conventional economy as well as the Sharia Islamic economic and finance. The second reason is because this is also one of the priority agenda under Indonesian G20 presidency of 2022, which is inclusion of economy and finance, one of the priority agenda, working closely with the global partnership of financial inclusion. This is the two reasons. The inclusion economy and finance being conventional in Sharia, touching the heart of mine as Governor of Central Bank, touching the heart of Bank Indonesia, as well as priority agenda under the G20. Ladies and gentlemen, how can we increase and accelerate the inclusion of the economy and finance, being conventional as well as Sharia economic and finance? For policy, for concrete program needed. This is the experience of us at the Central Bank. One, which is making Jama'ah, making the collective and clusterization of the economic unit. We cannot promote the SME without making a group of economy. Because by being SME is the problem of scale of the economy. With the kelompok, with the group, with the Jama'ah, then we can increase the role of the SME. What we do in Islamic economic and finance under the Bank Indonesia, one of them and successful, which is pemberdayaan ekonomi pesantren. The development of economic unit under the madrasah, the Islamic boarding school everywhere around the country. And we are succeeding, even making a holding of those economic pesantren, himpunan bisnis pesantren, which is holding of pesantren economic unit. One, make a group, Jama'ah. That's one thing. Number two, what the SME need is the technical assistance and the production, the finance, and the marketing, even on how to make the organization, separate organization. Number two is capacity building. Very important for inclusion economy and finance. Number four, I will come back to number three after that. Number four, which is digitalization. One of the best way to increase the inclusion economy and finance. Both for digitalization of the production, marketing to be placed in the marketplace, even marketing of the product of SME, including economic pesantren globally. Go digital is one of the best way for accelerating inclusion, economy, and finance. That's number 4. I come back number 3. Why that? Because 3 is a good number. So I put 3 on the last, which is affirmative policy. The positive policy, both from the political of the government, of the central bank, and all of us, including from you, Professor Komarudin Hidayat, from academic. We have to give affirmative policy for developing SME, for inclusion of the economy and finance, including development Syariah economy and finance. How can we do affirmative policy? From the central bank, of course, promoting them for financial access, promoting them in the global export, co-export, through trade and promotion. But of course, from the government, a lot of affirmative policy, including subsidy, interest rate subsidy, and other things. And from you, Professor Komarudin Hidayat, give affirmative policy to technical assistance. So this 4 things that we do believe important for this high-level seminar on financial inclusion and sustainable finance. 1, Jama'ah, make a group, a cluster of unit of SME. Number 2, capacity building, technical assistance, very important. And number 4, digitization. Number 3, affirmative policy. May Allah always give us blessing on this notable endeavor. And a very good high-level seminar for all of the distinguished participants and speaker. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you very much, Dr. Peri Warjio, for your insightful remarks. Ladies and gentlemen, today's seminar will be divided into 2 sessions, and shortly we will proceed to our first, with the topic of interlinking financial inclusion with digitalization in achieving sustainable economy. And to lead this upcoming session, it is my honor to introduce our moderator. She is board member of ISEI, Ikatan Sarjana Ekonomi Indonesia, and is currently a rector of Tazkiyah Islamic University College, Bogor, Indonesia. Without further ado, please give a warm welcome to Associate Professor Dr. Murniati Mukhlisin.
Thank you, Anissa. Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah. Nasta'in wa nastaghfiruh wa nastaghfiruh bismillah. Min sayyidi a'malina may yahdihillahu fala mudilla lahu wa fala hadiya lahu. Asyhadu an la ilaha illallah wa asyhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluh. Allahumma shalli ala sayyidina Muhammad wa ala sayyidina Muhammad. Yang dimuliakan Allah, segenap yang hadir pada hari ini. Sorry, I have to speak English. So our respected speakers, respected organizers, and the audience, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and a very good morning. Alhamdulillah, we are coming to the first sessions. We received very important messages from the rector of Indonesian's International Islamic University, Professor Komarudin Hidayat, and also our governor of Bank Indonesia. The message that we received is actually how to achieve this objective, the objectives of our workshop or seminar today. So inshallah, we're going to have 3 speakers for these sessions, And I hope the objectives for good practice of international bodies, central banks, fintech for financial literacy, this is going to be highlighted, and also on how new technology innovation on digital financial services, as well as the showcase of the financial inclusion through Islamic finance that will be also be discussed in the second sessions. So without further ado, I would like to introduce to you our first speaker, and this is very relevant of what our Governor of Bank Indonesia mentioned today on affirmative policy. The message number 3 that is very important that he mentioned on the last number 3, affirmative policy. So why it is very relevant? Because Yunita Resmisari is actually head of the SMEs and consumers protections of Bank Indonesia, and she received her MBA in Economic and Finance, University of Melbourne, and has been serving Bank Indonesia for 26 years, Masya Allah. So Ibu Yunita has been serving in various offices, including Bank Indonesia Sumatra Selatan, and also in the research and regulatory of banking, and also in active in SMEs and financial inclusions, financial access, and Asian SME Working Group, APEC, and Alliance for Finance Inclusions. So without further ado, I would like to call upon Ibu Yunita Resmisari for 15 minutes presentations. And after that, we're going to have Mr. Jamil Abbas and Mr. Aliki Boletawa. The platform is yours, Ibu Yunita. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Murniati Mukhlisin. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin. Wassalatu wassalam ala asrofil anbiya wal mursalin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajmain amma ba'du. Honorable Bapak Peri Warjio, our Governor, Professor Dr. Kamaruddin Hidayat, Director of Indonesia International Islamic University, distinguished moderators and speakers. First, let's thank Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin, that granting us opportunity to meet up and gather together this morning, so we can share our thoughts, our experience in promoting financial inclusion toward the economic inclusion. And I would like to share Bank Indonesia policy in strategy in promoting financial inclusion towards sustainable and inclusive economy. And I would be happy also to listen to other speakers. This is a very rare and very good opportunity for that. Let me start my presentation by pointing out the impact of COVID-19 on economic and finance. We are aware that the COVID-19 pandemic, which occurred since 3 years ago, it's have a severe impact on the global economic and also widens the inequality, impacted in women and also the youth, which decreased the employment and mostly to SMEs. Our survey has shown that most SME have negatively impacted by COVID-19. But we found some light at the end of the tunnel. We can say that there are some group in SMEs that have survived and even increased their performance during the pandemic. Who are those SME? They are the one who changed their strategy into digital. So we can say that the pandemic has accelerated also digitalization to help SMEs to cope with the negative impact of the pandemic. And this is not only in Indonesia, this is a common issue in other parts of the world, as well as in G20 member. From the survey, we can say that most of the G20 target group have been impacted, which have been impacted by COVID-19. They are engaged in digital activities, and it has helped them to improve their economic activity. We also, next slide please. We can say then that the acceleration in digital economic and finance shall promote economic recovery because it provides multi-channels for economic activity. The survey from World Bank revealed that at least 58 governments in developing countries have used digital payment to deliver the social aid of for COVID-19. And on top of that, at least 36 countries made these payments into fully functional accounts, which can be used for saving or transaction. So from the social fund, it opened up opportunities for vulnerable groups and underserved to access finance. In Indonesia, digital payment also shows some remarkable increase based on the recent National Financial Inclusion Survey. The server-based electronic money users are increasing very rapidly, and also the value of the electronic money transaction, we can see from the slide here, which increased more than 40%. And the QR Indonesian standard, our innovation since 2019, it has accumulated the value of transaction up to 4.5 trillion rupiah. However, we should aware that there is also challenges and risks in digital economic and finance. First is the gap in access. We found that there is a different internet access between the rural and the urban people, and also the access between the different income groups. The group with the more capital consumption, they have bigger access of internet. So they up to 70%, while the poorest 10% of population, they only have 14% access. And the other challenge is the financial and digital literacy. The survey from Findex and also from our National Financial Inclusion Survey reveals that the account usage, the index of account usage in 2019 is to up to 66%, while the financial literacy is only half of it. So it means that of all people that already have an account in bank, only half of them is literate in financially literate. And another survey revealed that people are more adopted on downloading application, but the increase in the increase to an ability to carry out digital financial transactions tends to be slow. So towards the gaps there are the potential of the digital economic and finance, but there are still some challenge for that. So based on this background, we can say that the financial inclusion accompanied by shall be accompanied by financial literacy will make the financial resilience that will make people stay in the financial area, but toward the economic empowerment, there should be the adoption of digitalization. And digitalization means innovation, so it should be balanced with the consumer protection adoption. Based on this fact, then we can say, next slide please, that toward the economic empowerment, it's not enough for the financial inclusion. It should be accompanied by digital inclusion. Digital inclusion is still very basic, the access to internet and the basic digital technology. And then from there, it can be increased to become a financial literacy that will be accompanied by digital literacy. So more understanding of the usage of data and storage, and also security and data privacy. Then adequate financial and digital literacy will lead people to financial empowerment and digital empowerment. Further, it could lead people to be able to make sound financial decisions, maximize benefit of the financial product and services, and increase opportunity to achieve economic empowerment. So digital inclusion is and digital literacy, digital empowerment. So this is the new thought that according like what our governor mentioned before, the fourth strategy, digitalization. So it's a must now in this current situation. Based on that, let us rethink about how to get people to get into the financial inclusion. We recall that the first way is the conventional way. So because we believe that the digital marketing is for everybody in every area in Indonesia. So we have this course on the SMEs onboarding, not only for domestic market, but also we link them to the e-commerce export. So not only go digital, but go global. The second pillar is to expanding access and financial literacy. We have this called the program, we call it CAPIC. This is the application, digital application for SME, so that they can construct a financial risk report digitally, and it can be used as a bank reference in analyzing the feasibility of SME when they apply for credit. And then we also build the payment system infrastructure. In this area, we introduce CRIS, like we mentioned before, and in up to March, there are more than 16 million SME of which, CRIS merchant, of which 89% of them are SMEs. And also we built the BI Fast. This is to support the transfer of small money, which operate in a very low fare, 24/7. And also we initiate the electronification for local government transaction and transportation, and also to support the economic activity and digital finance.
Bu Yunita, sorry, you have 2 more minutes.
All right, okay, so yeah. And also we introduce the digital financial education. Okay, the next slide is about our policy in consumer protection, because we believe that we should balance the position between the service providers and the consumers through the function of the regulation, market conduct supervision, consumer complaint handling, and education to improve literacy, so that the SMEs that involved in digital activity is also financially digitally literate. And then the issue of the synergy and policy harmonization, we are joining the group of National Council for Financial Inclusion, which involves 24 ministries and institutions, which responsible for financial inclusion in Indonesia. Then lastly, I would like to mention our priorities issue during the Indonesia G20 presidency. There are 3 main issues. One of them is digital transformation. And especially in a financial inclusion working group, we have our ultimate goal is to build a financial inclusion framework in harnessing digitalization to increase productivity, sustainable and inclusive economic for target group of women and SME. So it's very relevant for Indonesia and also other developing countries in situation. And I think it's also relevant to advanced economy. There will be 3 outcomes. The first one is the implementation guide for the G20 high level on digital financial inclusion adoption. And outcome number 2, we will build a database that will consist of financial, digital and innovative financial product and services beyond credit. And outcome number 3 is the SME's digital financial service regulatory diagnostic toolkit for regulator to build an ecosystem that will make SMEs easy to access the digital financial services. So this is all will be supported by international organization, including AFI, Alliance Financial Inclusion. We saw Alaki here. Thank you for that. And then it will be all supported by the review on the G20 OECD high-level principles on financial consumer protection to balance the innovation and mitigation the risk. So lastly, the conclusion is that COVID-19 has accelerated the digital adoption. However, innovation, including in digitalization, including risks that have to be mitigated. So the current challenges that need to be addressed are digital divide and limited digital financial literacy. So to mitigate that we adopt the consumer protection, while for the financial inclusion, not only to bring people to enter financial system, but we aim more than that to foster their economic empowerment that we, and at the end, we hope will contribute to our economic growth. So I will stop here. Thank you for your patience to listening to our presentation. Hopefully, we can have a further discussion after this.
Thank you, Bu Yunita. Round of applause for Bu Yunita, mashallah. So you actually presented very important points on digitalizations, on the inclusion, and also SMEs where you are actually supervising, including the customers' protections. And you also mentioned about digital farming. I just recall your background of studies that you were from the IPB University,
Yeah,
and
indeed.
also the University of Melbourne. And this combination plus your enhancements towards the digitalizations shows that digital farming should be actually something that we need to focus on, as the Indonesian is very rich in terms of farming and agrarious countries. And this is actually something that also we need to discuss later. I'm inviting all the audience to write, to start writing their questions to Ibu Yunita on how the G20's objectives can be also relevant today that we talk about digital transformations. And something I would like to ask the audience as well, please write in the chat room, what is CRIS stands for? So we have actually been practicing, and perhaps some of us are very handy to actually scan the barcode of the CRIS everywhere in the any merchant. In fact, even in the masjid, we can see the CRIS barcode actually shown on the box. So it is very convenient. So thank you to Bank Indonesia for the initiative. And it's quite a big number you mentioned that CRIS should have actually got the transactions as for the last year. And I hope it's going to be increased over time. So thank you again, Bu Yunita, and stay with us. I'll go to the second presenter, Mr. Jamil Abbas. Assalamualaikum. Waalaikumsalam.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Alhamdulillah, Alhamdulillah. So Brother Jamil Abbas is a finance professional for more than 25 years of experience in various industries. So he is now serving Etis Indonesia with the position as Chief Financial Officer or CFO, and a fully licensed Islamic Islamic fintech, which is actually very relevant to our objective today. We would like to hear about the good practice of the Islamic fintech in terms of financial literacy. And prior to Etis, he was the Deputy Director in Komite Nasional Ekonomi dan Keuangan Syariah, and also he is sitting in various boards such as Rahmania, the Islamic Fintech Associations, the Indonesian Association of Islamic Economists, and the Board of Finbook, and the Blossom PBMT, etc. And his background of study is from Melbourne, Australia, the same university with Ibu Yunita. And he also completed MBA, the same studies, the same program and cohort with Ibu Yunita. And he obtained his master's degree from International Islamic University, Malaysia. And this is the same university with mine. So thank you for coming to this event, Brother Jamil, and the platform is yours for 15 minutes from now. Thank you.
Ya, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Very good morning to all ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Prof. Muriati, for introducing me. Alhamdulillah, firstly, we would like to thank Bank Indonesia, Islamic Development Bank, and all organizers of this very prestigious event for inviting Etis Indonesia to also share some information and thoughts in this event. And since I only have 15 minutes, please allow me to go direct to my presentation, which I will operate by myself. Prof. Muriati, my slide is already available now. Can you see?
Yeah, I can see it.
Yeah, again, thank you for inviting us. We are requested by the organizer to share what we are doing as an Islamic fintech company and how it relates to the theme of this session, to the keywords of the theme of this session, which are financial inclusion, digitalization, and sustainable economy. Yeah, so a bit about the landscape of peer-to-peer in Indonesia. Based on the data of 2021 from OJK that we got, currently we are expecting about more than 700,000 investors by the end of last year, and total financing volume has reached 18.7 billion USD. Then right now in Indonesia we have 102 peer-to-peer players, but from those 102, only 8 are Sharia. But then we see as Islamic fintech can play a more important role in SME development, because what we see now, there are about 46.6 million SMEs in Indonesia having lack of access to financing. So there's opportunity of $104 billion for SME, which is still $68 billion of it is currently underserved. So now we would like to share how Etis is trying to do something about it. So Etis, the brand, comes from the combination of the word ethical and Islamic. Our vision is to uplift humanity through financial technology, and our mission is to drive impactful circulation of capital in the real economy. So we have started this journey, I think, about 8 years ago in 2014. So I guess it is not wrong to say that Etis is among the pioneers of Islamic fintech. So in 2014, I think even the world doesn't really know the meaning of fintech. So we have started something there. And Alhamdulillah, in 2019, we are registered in OJK. Then last year, we finally get full license from OJK. So now we are fully licensed Islamic peer-to-peer company in Indonesia. And hopefully the journey will keep continuing, inshallah. Initially, the way we create impact through our business is by supporting the low-cost housing project in order for the low-income people of Indonesia to own their own house. So quite a number of projects that we have financed. But since 2020, we are expanding our support to also serve various SME projects. And because of what we have done in Indonesia, and also together with what our colleagues at this group doing in several other countries, we have received several recognition, global recognition, like in Dubai, Singapore, Jakarta, Abu Dhabi, Bahrain. And by now, being a fully licensed Islamic fintech, Islamic peer-to-peer company, we have received license from OJK, also Kemkominfo, and our DPS is appointed by DSN MUI, and we also have obtained ISO 27001. Etis is also an official member of Asosiasi Fintech Pendana Bersama Indonesia or AFI, and also Asosiasi Fintech Syariah Indonesia and AFSI. and we are also quite active in collaborating with Masyarakat Ekonomi Syariah. The way we do is we work as a group under Etis Global. So where in Indonesia we have license as a peer-to-peer financing, and in Malaysia we have a license to run equity crowdfunding, or here we usually known as ISEF. Then, as you know, Islamic finance is not just about commercial finance, but also about social finance. We have developed a new platform focusing on serving social finance. It is Global Sadaqah. And Alhamdulillah, just last month, we got a license in Oman to run, I think, the world's first global platform. So as you can see, like Etis Indonesia and Etis Malaysia is a bit country focused, but now starting this year, we have Etis X in license in Oman to run a global platform to serve much wider stakeholder, inshallah. And because of the technology, we are connecting so many stakeholders. We are especially now, we have completed 37,000 transactions, almost 14,000 customers, $21.5 million has been channeled through our platforms. And the unique thing about this is, I might say most or even all the investors that are doing Islamic investing through our platforms are all retails, something that did not happen in the past. So this is one of the benefits of having technology, having digitalization. Now even small retail investors, they can participate in projects around the world. At the moment, most of our investors are coming from Singapore. I mean, we see from the bottom, Singapore, UK, Malaysia, Saudi, and Indonesia. Those are the top 5 countries which are investing through our platforms. So our value proposition in this case is basically bridging the surplus capital communities through the one that needs capital. But in this case, again, being an Islamic finance, we are not just focusing on commercial finance, but also using our platform to enhance the flow of social finance as well. So zakat, wakaf, infak, sadaqah. And through our platform, again, the beneficiaries in this case are the retail investors. So now they can participate in projects around the world. Then also accredited and professional investors, family offices, foundation, and community organization. And so sorry, since this is I only have 15 minutes, not much that I can share. So we just jump to the conclusion that because of technology, because of so we can develop what is called fintech, especially the peer-to-peer. So now what we have the Etis platform is really how Etis platform related to financial inclusion, digitalization, and sustainable economy is with this platform. I believe we are not just increasing but also deepening Islamic financial inclusion. So I think when we talk about financial inclusion, must be careful. We should not just about increasing or just having more people in the ecosystem, but also making sure that the one which are already included is getting more benefit. Financial inclusion is about how the people, the community are getting benefit from financial services. So with what we have been doing, we believe that we have attracted many parties, the investors and also the project owners, the SMEs, to move toward Islamic finance, to use Islamic finance product. And for the one which has been using Islamic finance services, then we try to do deepening by providing more option to get financing, more option to do investing. And again, technology is about connecting people. And in this case, we try to connect people to encourage shirkah or business collaboration among them. And in this opportunity, we would like to introduce maybe a slightly new term, which is financial democracy. In the past, where what we had at the time was just only bank, I don't think we have this financial democracy. But now, even small retail investors, they can vote or they can choose the project that they like or the project that they want, they can support. So they can choose directly. And also the SMEs, in this case, they can also promote themselves to many investors, something that they couldn't do in the past. So from what we have learned, this fintech platform is really good, really relevant for SME to promote themselves and to encourage the SMEs to promote themselves, because usually the SME who has been showing the good project and good responsibility on time repayment, they get they get support from more investors, and the investors are willing to support them with lower cost of fund. Then last but not least, something very important to grow Islamic economy and especially Islamic finance is we need to change the cultures. I believe, with all due respect, at the moment Indonesia is still dominated with saving cultures, but Islamic finance need more investing cultures, because Islamic finance, the core is on trading, the core is on profit sharing. So it is difficult to grow Islamic finance in the people with strong saving cultures but very weak investing cultures. So at least we at this, being an Islamic finance company, we believe no such thing as risk-free. So we need to encourage the people to take risk at some level. And in this case, being in Islamic finance, it is not about high risk or high return, but what we would like to promote is to encourage everybody to targeting higher return, higher growth, but of course with calculated and managed risk, not just taking any risk. So not high return or high risk and high return, but high return, high growth, but with calculated and managed risk in this case. And inshallah, having technology, especially the fintech platform, we can do it. And with that, we believe fintech platform can play important role in increasing and deepening financial inclusion through digitalization, which will help everybody to achieve sustainable economy, inshallah. Thank you, Prof. Murniati. I try to not to exceed 15 minutes, but I guess now too short, yeah.
It's just on time. Thank you, Brother Jamil Abbas. And you actually presented what we call a good practice from Islamic fintech, and this is one of the and I can say that it's the first in fintech platform in Indonesia, start right from 2014, and I remember that I did small research on this in 2014, 15, and 16, 17, and it's really impactful that we use a digital platform to introduce financial inclusion. And as you say just now, it's not just connecting people. And many people talk about connecting people everywhere. You know, after meeting war is after meeting the people, after connecting the people. So you mentioned about the how actually connecting the shirkah, actually the partnerships, and this is something that the valuable points in Islamic finance, where we actually combine people to work together, and this is the highest level of ta'aruf, level of ukhuwah. So first we do ukhuwah in ta'aruf, tafahum, ta'awun, takaful, and tahaluf. Tahaluf is the highest level, where the shirkah is what you said just now. So I also like the point that you mentioned, higher return, higher risk should be changed to higher return, higher growth, and managed risk. And we'll come again to you. We already received some questions for Ibu Yunita and Brother Jamil, but I would like to go to our third presenter, speaker. Assalamualaikum, Mr. Alike Boletawa. Good morning. Good morning in Indonesia. Are you in Indonesia or somewhere else?
I'm somewhere else, Madam Moderator. Thank you.
Are you? Is it morning time or?
I'm just an hour ahead of you.
Oh, 1 hour ahead, so it's not really much different. So still in morning. So Mr. Alike Boletawa is a Director of Policy Programs and Implementations at the Alliance for Financial Inclusions, AFI, a global network of policymakers and regulators working towards inclusive finance for all. This is very relevant that we are inviting you today to speak on the financial inclusion. And of course, we go back again to the message from our Governor of Bank Indonesia on affirmative policy. So Mr. Eliki also works on global policy work streams, including gender inclusive finance and inclusive green finance. So I remember that we already promoted our green sukuk, and I think this is also very relevant today. And prior to joining AFI, Mr. Eliki spent more than a decade working for the Reserve Bank of Fiji. So the same the same area of Ibu Yunita as well, working in a central bank. And he held, of course, various management positions. Mr. Eliki obtained his Master's of Applied Finance from Victoria University of Wellington in New Zealand, and Bachelor of Arts degree in Business and Postgraduate Diploma in Development Studies from the University of the South Pacific. So without further ado, I would like to hand over the platform to Mr. Eliki. I'll remind you for 15 minutes, sorry, Mr. Eliki, but we will come to you again for question and answer. Tafadhal mashkura.
Thank you very much. Can you hear me loud and clear?
Perfect. It's loud and clear.
Wonderful. So before I begin, I would just like to say warm greetings to my colleague Yunita, who we have worked with a very long time. Hello, Yunita. Good to see you again. And also to panelist Abbas. So thank you very much for this opportunity. I would like to take this same opportunity to thank the Indonesian G20 presidency for the kind invitation to participate in this high-level G20 seminar on financial inclusion and sustainable economy. Before I begin, please allow me to briefly introduce the Alliance for Financial Inclusion, AFI, to you. So AFI is a non-political, non-profit organization owned, governed, and sustained by more than 100 member institutions in 89 emerging and developing countries. This represents around 85% of the global unbanked population. AFI's goal is to support its members to develop and implement successful financial inclusion policies that address specific country challenges. So the AFI cooperation model is based on peer learning and a country-led approach at its core. On this foundation, the network's activities consist of the three main pillars. The first one is policy guidance, which is based on empirical evidence of policy implementation experiences across the network. The second pillar looks at practical implementation support to our members to aid them in their financial inclusion journey. And the third is on agenda setting to ensure that the membership has an effective voice in key global platforms such as the G20 and global standard setting bodies. So collectively, these activities support AFI's core role as a policy leadership alliance, catalyzing the implementation of effective and smart financial inclusion policies across the global south. In line with this policy leadership mandate, to date, 6 policy models have been produced. In 2019, our very first policy model on e-money and the policy model on the AFI core set of indicators was endorsed by members at the annual general meeting of 2019. Following that, in 2020, the policy model on national financial inclusion strategy and the policy model on consumer protection in digital financial services was further endorsed. And until recently, the policy model on digital identity and eKYC and the policy model for MSME finance was endorsed by members. Now, these policy models is the pinnacle of knowledge that the members codify, which is then used by members in guidance for implementation of specific financial inclusion policies in their respective countries or jurisdictions. Now, turning to the theme of this seminar, there is significant evidence that the policies implemented by members in these areas are making substantial contribution towards achievement of many of the Sustainable Development Goals. Financial inclusion has been recognized as formally enabling 7 of the SDGs, including poverty reduction and gender equality. But connections can even be found to additional SDGs beyond these, such as climate change. Looking at the progress that has been made to date, we can see that there has been a marked acceleration in the number of policy and regulatory changes being implemented across the globe to advance financial inclusion. These policy changes include measures to facilitate the growth of digital financial inclusion, establishment of consumer protection regimes, through to policies to support inclusion of the MSME sector and vulnerable population segments. And today we've heard from UNITA and Abbas on the great advancement that Indonesia is undertaking in these areas. Many of the financial inclusion policies implemented in 2020 were explicitly connected to mitigating and aiding recovery from the pandemic. In addition to a focus on the policy and regulatory evidence, implementation evidence suggests that countries also need to consider the benefits of having an overall national financial inclusion strategy or framework, which can promote in-country coordination and public-private collaboration. More than 70% of the countries participating in the AFI network have now established an NFIS, with some now being into their second or third strategy. And the early evidence suggests that these countries are making faster progress towards their financial inclusion goals. Looking now in more detail at the role of digitalization in promoting both financial inclusion and sustainable development, the Sochi Accord was a groundbreaking engagement and agreement which was adopted by the membership in 2018 to leverage the opportunities provided by technological innovations for the achievement of their financial inclusion goals. At the same time, the Accord recognizes the risks of technological innovation for financial stability, integrity, and consumer protection, and recommends balanced policy approaches and oversight, and to realize the benefits of innovation without compromising the safety and soundness objectives. The Sochi Accord has been advanced in the network through developments of policy guidance in a number of emerging areas under the leadership of the Digital Financial Services Working Group, one of the 7 working groups under the AFI network. This includes publications on consumer protection for DFS, cybersecurity for financial inclusion, RegTech and SupTech for financial inclusion, data privacy, and digital financial literacy. The DFS working group is now working on additional topics, including platform economies, fintech strategy, CBDCs, and licensing and regulation of digital banks. It is worth particularly highlighting the development of the regional regulatory sandbox for the Pacific Islands region. Small island states have been particularly affected by challenges such as de-risking, as well as the impact of climate change. The regional regulatory sandbox, which we believe is a global first, will allow for innovators to test products meeting defined criteria across the 8 participating jurisdictions and begin accepting applications from Q2 of this year. Looking forward to the remainder of 2022, additional areas of focus for the membership include inclusive open finance, on which a joint training with the government of Luxembourg was recently held, risks and opportunities of artificial intelligence for financial inclusion, and virtual assets regulation. As countries implemented digital financial inclusion strategies, it is important to take account of groups which may be at risk of being left behind. In particular, many countries have a significant gender gap. AFI's General Action Plan is an unprecedented global commitment by AFI member institutions to take a holistic approach to incorporating gender considerations into their policy initiatives and programs. Under the General Action Plan, AFI, the Women's World Banking, and the Oxford University partnered to create the Leadership and Diversity Program for regulators, which last year alone included over 50 senior regulators and high potential women representing 18 member institutions. The pandemic has also highlighted the need for scaling up collaboration with like-minded stakeholders to address swiftly and effectively the emerging challenges and the opportunities created by COVID-19 through a data-driven and evidence-based approach to guide our policy decisions in the post-pandemic era. Another emerging area of AFI's work is the connection of financial inclusion policies to the impacts of climate change in developing countries and on vulnerable groups. By threatening the livelihoods and assets of vulnerable groups, climate change and environmental degradation can also have adverse impacts on social equity and contribute to intra-society conflicts and tensions. Inclusive green finance has emerged as a truly unique approach for financial policymakers and regulators from developing markets to promote and advance mitigation to green finance. IGF also aims to build resilience and enable mitigation to climate change in markets that serve the most disadvantaged and vulnerable populations through financial inclusion. IGF, we believe, can play an important role in supporting vulnerable groups in adapting to global environmental change and strengthening their resilience. Central banks and regulators should also consider if and how inclusive green finance policies can contribute to enhancing macroeconomic and social resilience. Finally, in response to the pandemic, AFI has been collecting a database of financial inclusion policies that members have implemented that is available on the AFI website. Particularly important here have been policies to support the MSME sector through the worst of the pandemic. In summary, we believe through the network that financial inclusion has evolved to a central component of sustainable development and inclusive economic growth. Significant progress has been made towards full financial inclusion by countries which have adopted holistic NFIS and successfully leveraged on digital technologies. However, challenges remain to ensure that the disadvantaged and vulnerable groups are not left behind and to tailor financial inclusion policies to support economic recovery from the COVID-19 pandemic. So thank you very much for the opportunity, and I hand back to you, Madam Moderator.
Thank you so very much, Mr. Aliki Boletawa, for your brief presentation, but surely there are many points that we could actually explore. As you mentioned, several important points that are very relevant to our today's webinar on green finance, on the gender equality that also is being promoted by the SDGs, and also the financial inclusions and the activities that AFI has actually conducted for the past few years that you have highlighted, and how you actually mentioned also how the linking green finance and financial inclusion. And I'm inviting all this audience to actually address questions to Mr. Aliki Boletawa. So I'm waiting for the you to write in the chat room. I have already received several questions from Ibu Yunita Resmisari and also Brother Jamil Albas. And again, you are welcome to actually write your questions in the Q&A chat box. So, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, we have actually listened to the presentation from Ibu Yunita Resmisari. She is a head of SME Development and Consumer Protections Department, Bank Indonesia. And we also have the sharing from the Brother Jamil Abbas from the Good Practice of Islamic Financial Technology Company. He is Chief Financial Officer of PT Etis Fintech Indonesia. And we also have the presentation from Mr. Aliki Boletawa. He is the Director of Policy Programs and Implementations, Alliance for Financial Inclusions. So without further ado, I would like to read out the first questions from Ibu Yunita. So the first questions, Ibu Yunita, it is, I'm not sure where it is from, it is not written, but it is anonymous attendee. So his or her questions is, I really appreciate about all the activities that Bank Indonesia have done. And I would like to know how Bank Indonesia could handle the unbanked SMEs in the rural areas, the location that has lacking of the digitalizations, and also the bank, how Bank Indonesia could organize one-to-one mentoring in direct way to approach the SMEs. So the platform is yours again, Ibu Yunita.
Okay, thank you. I think that's a very relevant question for our condition, considering that Indonesia has so many islands with different internet access, especially because of limited infrastructures. However, Bank Indonesia approach, like our governor mentioned in the beginning, that we have a group, we apply a group approach rather than individual or one-by-one, one-to-one mentoring. So all SMEs are put into the group. We call it cluster or kelompok, or maybe in pesantren, and so and then we link them with the local government agencies or local universities to extend the technical assistance that needed. So for those unbanked SMEs in the rural and rural area where the digital approach is not cannot fully apply, we still have this manual approach, but group into the group approach with the assistance from our stakeholders, other stakeholders like the local government, the universities, and also we recruit some expert specialized in its area, for example, for agriculture, and also for other potential economic like a creative industry. And then the second thing is about the approach should be also accompanied by a government initiative. So we don't want to be exclusive Bank Indonesia assistance, but we always accompany them. We always accompany the assistance into one government initiative. Nowadays, we are joining what we call the Gerakan Bangga Buatan Indonesia. So it's like national movement for the pride of Indonesian product. And so by this, joining this group, which is initiated by the government, and then we can touch people, SMEs in all areas, because this movement will be based on the region and different region for each month. So hopefully all the area will be covered by this national movement. And it's not only from Bank Indonesia, but also from other government institutions, different ministries in charge each month. So this way, hopefully a different area, different type of need of its SME will be accommodated by us, the Bank Indonesia, and also the government institution. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Bu Yunita. So, of course, as the Bank Indonesia approach is not really possible for one-to-one mentoring, as Bu Yunita mentioned, but the group approach could be very effective because it includes more than 2 people in the group, and also Indonesian culture shows that when they are in the group, it is a kind of supporting to each other, giving motivation,
yes,
and effective. And I deal with this types of group for the marginal groups of economies in Indonesia, especially in West Java and Nusa Tenggara Barat, Ibu Yunita, and it is very effective. They actually support each other and also inform each other if one doesn't understand. And I think this is also something that we would like to see on national movement of Indonesian products as well. When we do the mentoring on a group like this, I think it's going to be fruitful as well, Bu Yunita. And something that we also wonder on how the Indonesian role on gathering all the SMEs. I have heard that our Ministry of Cooperative and SMEs would like to do something, a platform for all SMEs in Indonesia, and how actually Bank Indonesia responds and involved in this initiative, Bu Yunita.
Thank you. Of course, we support this initiative. It's been long waited by by all the stakeholders, including the banks, including other government institution and international organization as well. We already have a database of our own SMEs foster. So I think when the platform is ready, we'll be gladly to join and put off our database into this platform. So I think it's the database of Indonesia SME. It should be, it's a must, and it will be. I think it will be supported by all ministers and government agency as well.
Thank you, Bu Yunita. So I hope it's going to be, real, and then we can see the initiative by this year, for instance. So of course, in it also fintech platforms such as Brother Jamil Abbas to get involved as well, because not only ETIS, we also have some other Islamic fintech platforms that caters also SMEs, like Brother Jamil Abbas also mentioned, like ISEF or security crowdfunding also will cater the SMEs in the platform in the future. And I think it's already, we have one SMEs, the Islamic fintech that is in charge on the SMEs. And then it's going to be more in the platform, inshallah. So thank you, Yunita. I would like to go to Brother Jamil. We have questions for Brother Jamil on the ETIS. All right, this one. How ETIS can be managed for the biggest Islamic P2P lending in Indonesia by focusing in supporting SMEs finance activity or individual term? Do you get the question, Brother Jamil?
Frankly, I'm a bit confused at the end. What does it mean by individual term?
Perhaps this is SMEs on individual SMEs, perhaps. But we have also other question that it is quite related as well. How the ETIS monitoring process undertaken by ETIS to make sure the fund is used by the financier as planned or as intended before. So because for instance, in Musyarakah, there is an opportunity for loss sharing instead of profit sharing. So how this funded project face losses instead of profit, and how you actually mitigate the risk. Yes, Brother Jamil.
Yeah, thank you, Prof. Moniati. I think I'll try to answer the question from Pak Ade Setiawan. First, I would like to make it clear that we are not claiming to be the biggest Islamic peer-to-peer lending, because there are a few other players in Islamic peer-to-peer lending. We might be the oldest, but certainly we can't say that at the moment we are the biggest. And our focus at the moment, and according to our plan, is we would like to focus on productive financing. So we have no plan to serve consumption financing. And productive in this case, certainly focusing on SME, inshallah. Then answering the next question on how we do to manage the risk, to make sure that the project is safe to be offered to public. There are several things that we do here. Certainly first we do the real KYC, knowing your customers. Whenever we receive a new request from the project owners, from the SME, we try our best to really know who they are and try to fully understand what the project is, not just letting anyone to promote the project in our platform. Then after we collect all the information, then if necessary, we do visit to make sure that the project is really there. You know, the world is quite so many fake projects at the moment in this world, so we try to be very careful on that. Data collection and doing visit and necessary. And something that we also proud of is we apply a double investment committee approach. Double in this case is any project posted in our platform must pass the local investment committee and also the international investment committee of ETIS Group. So first we review the project internally in Indonesia, then after that we bring it to international committee at the group where we have professionals from several countries to do final decision whether we should support and promote the project or not. And alhamdulillah, with that approach, so far our TKB is still 100%, or we can say that we are on 0% NPF. But again, as mentioned earlier, we believe that no such thing as totally risk-free. So the risk is always there, but what we can do is trying to manage it as best as possible. Thank you, Prof.
Thank you, Brother Jamil. And we are waiting still the questions from the audience. We still have 23 minutes to wrap up. But I would like to go to Mr. Aliki Boletawa. So far, there's no questions from the... Oh, all right, there is a question from anonymous attendee. Is there a more in-depth elaborations, or he would like to he would like you to actually elaborate more on how the effect of increasing the role of women-based SMEs in digitalizations will significantly help the efforts to increase financial inclusions in general. So, did you get the questions, Mr. Ali?
Thank you very much, Madam Moderator.
Yeah,
so I think what needs to be done now is to take in the experiences that not only members but globally where women SMEs or women entrepreneurs are actually leveraging on the platforms of digitalization to allow for access and addressing the challenges that they meet. Now, globally, if we look at the challenges that most women entrepreneurs face, it all comes to lack of access to capital, the unavailability of consumer protection frameworks that incorporate the perspective of gender in it, and also looking at the types of policies that are rolled out. For example, products by FSPs that is more specific or targeted to women. So while we understand that there are advances being undertaken, we don't really know what's the depth of it. And I think the question is quite timely for us to determine, how can we further go in to understand better what women are doing when it comes to tapping or leveraging on digital financial services. Here in Malaysia, if we look at fintech, for example, while we hear that there are products out there that can allow to bridge this gap and provide access, there is no specific data that highlights or showcases which of these are being used by women that can allow us to go deep in to understand better the behavior and come up with policies that would be more suited to advancing this. Within AFI in itself, we are undertaking a gender mapping exercise, which is the first of its kind, to look specifically at what member institutions are undertaking when it comes to promoting policies that allow for enabling environment for women to have access to be offered products and services which is of quality, which they can use. So I think for me, this is broadly the response that I would give in terms of how or whether we can further advance the study, the research that digitalization has offered or provided for access specifically for women-owned, women-led MSMEs. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Aliki. I'd like to address additional questions to Ibu Yunita. So we have from Muhammad Sultani. So his questions on the ecosystem, or are the ecosystem created to strengthen commercial finance and social finance in order to get financial and digital inclusions? So time is yours, Bu Yunita.
Okay, thank you. I think when we created the economic and financial digital economic and financial inclusion, we must touch the two sides, the supply and demand. So in the supply side, we built in the financial sectors, including all those the infrastructures. So we introduced the CRIS. By the way, CRIS is the abbreviation for the quick response for Indonesian standard. And then also the payment system infrastructure, like the real-time gross settlement, And for the retail, we established the BIFAS, and we introduced the sandbox, like mentioned by Mr. Aliki. It's one of a kind to get familiar with the new innovation in the digital area. And also we introduced the electronification, the system. So this is one side in the financial sector. On the other side, in the real sector, we also build the actor that will use the instrument. So we introduce kris to market, to pasar. We call it the siap kris. So all those merchants in pasar, in the market, they are now familiar with the kris. And we introduce the electronic money in transportation. So Ibu, if you want to go to Jakarta, you have to use the e-money for the toll route. They don't accept the cash anymore, right?
Yes, yes,
And
yes.
yeah.
Otherwise, we
then,
have to ask the car behind us.
it will block the flow. And then we introduce also the kris and the electronic money to the area like the SMEs, for SMEs to have a transaction. And above all, we have this program for the government, local government. We call it the TP2DD. It means like the team for the electronification government acceleration. So all the income and then also the expense of the government, the local government, they have to use the electronic money instead of cash. So we built this ecosystem both for the supply side and demand side. On this way, we hope this ecosystem will stay sustained and longer. And then this year, we have this target to have additional kris user of up to 15 million. So the more, the merrier. The more user of kris, the ecosystem will be sustained. And so we grow both sides. As a bank, a central bank, we build the infrastructure, but on the other hand, we also build the users, including with the government. So that's our approach. Yeah,
thank you, Bu Yunita. Thank you, appreciate it. So I would like to go back again to Mr. Jamil Abbas. Brother Jamil, you mentioned about the coverage of ETIs for the transactions, 37,170 with 14,000 users, including investors and donors. When we talk about financial inclusions, of course, we talk about the demography of Indonesia that consists of thousands of islands. How actually ETIs could reach people from various islands to participate in the ETIs? Is it something that you actually focus on?
Yes.
Jamil, is yours.
Thank you, Prof. That's exactly what we are trying to do, because Indonesia is such a big country, and I think most of the players currently are focusing on Jakarta or just Java Island.
Yes.
But we realize that in order to serve the whole country, we can't do it alone. So that's why we and some friends at KNIKS, we are developing the concept called COLAX, Kolaborasi Layanan Keuangan Syariah, or Collaboration-Based Islamic Financial Services.
Yes.
The right way and the reasonable way to serve the whole country must be through collaboration. And so we are actively talking with friends from different sectors. So under COLAC, the collaboration should not just be among the banks or among fintech companies, but we must encourage collaboration among different sectors, different types, different models. So even the collaboration between financial institutions and non-financial institutions like pesantren, schools, and universities. So we are actively discussing with several new partners in order to serve them. So one very interesting comment of a meeting we had last week with our friends at BPRS or the rural bank. So they say that fintech, since we are using cloud technology, is considered like an air force. Yeah, we work in the sky, but we cannot solve the whole thing by ourselves. So we need the army, the one really working on the field. Fintech alone cannot solve the problem, but if we can create strong collaboration with the other stakeholders, not just other financial institution, the army, the one working on the field, but also with the community organization, that's where we will create the impact solving the problem. And especially since always the expectation, the project promoted in a fintech platform must be reasonably safe. So we need the partners to ensure that the project is there, is good, and safe to be invested by public.
Thank you, Brother Jamil. We actually have one more questions for you. This one is from Purwanto, President University. What is the role of fintech in increasing the income of the economic institutions such as farm laborers, agriculture entrepreneurs, rural and urban, companies, and the government?
Okay. Yeah. Thank you. So again, I need to remind that fintech is not just about financing. Yeah, there are many types of financial services which can be included under the term fintech. But to answer this question, I would like to use the peer-to-peer, what we are doing in Islamic peer-to-peer to increase the income of those stakeholders is, I think the most significant one is we are helping them to get access to other type of financing. So in many areas, in the past especially, usually they had no choice but either go to the bank or go to loan shop. Yeah. So banks have limitation. I mean, everybody, there's no organization in the world can serve the whole segment. Everyone has a limitation. So if those organizations cannot get financing from the bank, then they go to the loan shop or they don't do business at all because there's no financing. And fintech, the peer-to-peer Sharia is offering more options, more choices. And for example, many of the projects that we are supporting, we provide financing without collateral. But of course, they must provide adequate information data in order for us to analyze properly. Because also we need to protect the interest of the investors here. Yeah. So by providing more options, by helping them to get the financing that they need, and certainly being Islamic finance, we are providing healthy, safe financing, yeah, not the dangerous one from whom. Yeah. So when they get a good, appropriate financing, then inshallah the income will increase, and with increasing income, increasing revenue, increasing profit, at the end the government will be able to take more tax. Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Increasing profit, increasing welfare of the people. Tax at the last one.
So the way we are also increasing the income of the government.
Pay more zakat and tax, yeah. All right. Okay. Thank you, Brother Jamil. Thank you, Jamil. So, Mr. Aliki, we have anonymous attendee would like to ask questions to you. We often hear that the general issue in terms of linking a sustainable economy is always about additional cost. In terms of linking financial inclusions with sustainable development, what are the common issues that often arise in the discussions? Time is yours, Mr. Aliki.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Madam Moderator. I think here what is important when we look at, of course, yes, indeed, it comes with cost. But here it is very important when we are discussing policies that, we ensure that while we are meeting the needs of those that are in need now, we are not sabotaging the needs of our future generation. So here it is very key and critical that when we look at the lens from our inclusive green finance workstream, these are some of the areas which we look at in terms of sustainable development. But overall, in terms of the discussion that has been happening within the network, we've seen how important digital financial inclusion is. And there is still more opportunity and potential for this platform to support those at the bottom of the pyramid to improve their livelihoods. And for us, at the end of the day, we want to see that these people have access. They're able to save. They're able to cope with unexpected economic shocks or outcomes that would appear. They're able to benefit cheaply from the provisions that have been made through digital financial inclusion. What we also must be thinking at when we look at financial inclusion and sustainable development, that farmers out there are able to buy micro insurance products that is able to allow them to manage their risks and also opportunities to make investments for their future. We want to see women having a more power, more impact in terms of controlling their own finances and also being able to contribute to economic opportunities that is available. And we also want to see, that businesses are able to access capital or credit for their own survival or for the advancement of their businesses. So this is, in the whole ecosystem of financial inclusion and linking to sustainable development. But of course, as regulators, we also look at the issue of stability. We also look at the issues of integrity. We also look at the issues of consumer protection. So it's a very interesting question, and I hope that I've answered through what I've just given. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Aliki. This is actually a short answer because of the time. I'm sure if we have special session with Mr. Aliki, he would like to elaborate many other things under the financial inclusions, poverty eradications, gender consent, and etc. And this is something that we need to explore more. Ibu Yunita, perhaps we can invite him again in the future. So I would like to attach one more questions from the chat room from Bapak Yudi Priambodo. He's actually my colleague. He is also financial planner. He's also a banker, and he's quite concerned on economic of the poor. And his questions is actually related to political tension, and this is quite interesting because we're going to face the general election by 2024. And his question is how sustainable economy can fit in Indonesia business environment by considering the political tension ahead of next elections. Perhaps Ibu Yunita could touch a little bit on that because our governor just now, Pak Perry, also mentioned on the affirmative policy coming from the government, from the political institution. Perhaps it could actually relate to that our topic today, that high-level seminar on financial inclusion and sustainable economy. Time is yours, Ibu Yunita. Ibu Yunita, I can't hear you.
Okay, yeah.
Yes.
Sorry. It's rather heavy question. So especially it's related to the general election, but I would rather to answer it through economic point of view. Sustainable economics is basically will make an effective and a more effective and efficient way of life, which will lead to the more effective and efficient economic as well. So we will always support the principle of sustainable economic. Even Bank Indonesia now try to establish the framework of the green framework of the principle for the green economy, and one among others is including the green SME, because we believe that sustainable economy is a must for the future of our generation, and within our jurisdiction. So the policy to support the sustainable economic will include the macroprudential policy, which will enable the banks with or the financial institution with the preference on the sustainable economic sector will be more will enjoy more relaxed policies in the future. And then also with our policy for the financial sector deepening. So the instrument for the financial sector deepening will also in favor for the sectors in that support the sustainable economy. While for the SMEs, green SMEs, we will develop the projects and then the program that will be more environmental friendly. So maybe I will not answer it directly, but overall, our policy is toward the sustainable economic is very clear, and it's we are very supportive for this policy. That's all I think. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ibu Yunita. And we have almost come to the end, everyone. Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, this webinar, high-level seminar on financial inclusion and sustainable economy, G20 side events, and in conjunction with Road 9th Indonesian Sharia Economic Festival, or ISEF. And today we actually taken the point on interlinking financial inclusions with digitalization in achieving sustainable economy. And we have seen just now, we have heard a lot from the presenters through their presentation and our dialogue today that Ibu Sri Yunita has emphasized on digitalizations from banking sectors, and also how the customer first action also take roles. And I would like to link everyone also as a homework today on how our governor of Bank Indonesia mentioned about the successful program undertaken by Bank Indonesia on managing the Islamic boarding schools, business or Islamic boarding schools, collaborations linking from all over Indonesia. And this is, I've also seen myself on how Bank Indonesia supervise the business sectors in Islamic boarding schools or pesantren all over Indonesia. And I've seen them growing. And this is something that also the latest movement from Bank Indonesia, the latest activity is how they are provided also with the accounting for pesantren. And this is very useful to actually make sure their management, administrations, and good governance. And Brother Jamil mentioned about the good practice from the Islamic Financial Technology Company in Indonesia, and let's collaborate and let's learn more from at least how to manage risk. And I think this is also attended by the academics from the universities, from lecturers and students who would like to conduct research on the Islamic Financial Technology. You can approach him anytime to see how the practical side of the Islamic financial technology that has been promoted by the government as well, on how to reach the unbanked. Mr. Aliki at the same point to mention also financial inclusion programs on how to eradicate the poverty. And we've seen that he has reached more than 90 emerging markets and countries. And he mentioned about green finance and how actually the alliance of the countries and the Bank Central also could have impact on the sustainable economy. I hope these distinguished speakers will not only stop at this platform. We would like to have more from you in the next programs and events conducted by the Bank Indonesia. So because of the time, I have to stop 10:31 today. I'd like to thank everyone, Ibu Yunita, Ibu Yunita Resmisari, Brother Jamil Abbas, Mr. Aliki Boleto. Thank you again. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and a very good day. I'll pass it to
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you, Ibu.
Thank you. I'll pass it to Ibu today.
Thank you very much, Associate Professor Dr. Murniati Muhlisin, and all speakers. That was such a brightful discussion. We hope that all participants here can take a note for the important issues. So before we proceed, we would like to invite again all speakers and also moderators from first session, along with our distinguished guests and participants, to have a virtual photo session. We also invite all participants to turn on their camera and bring your big smiles on the screen for the photo sessions. The operator ready for the photo session? Okay, lovely. So we will take 2 shots of photo on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay, another one. 1, 2, 3. Perfect. Thank you for your participation. So before we continue to our second session, let's have a 5-minute break because it's been quite a session discussion before. And before we proceed to have a nice discussion on the second session, please stay on the platform and we will have a 5-minute break right now. Ladies and gentlemen, before we proceed to the next session, we would like to remind all participants that you may have the certificate of this event by filling in the form provided in the chat box. We will continue our seminar with the second session of the discussion about showcasing financial inclusion program through Islamic finance. The session will be moderated by Dr. Lisa Listiana. She is the founder, director, and researcher on Wakaf Center for Indonesian Development and Studies, or WASIP. She also established Falah Financial as a one-stop center education and consultancy institution based on Islamic worldview. Let us all welcome Dr. Lisa Listiana.
Okay, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Can you hear it? Right? Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you, Sister Anissa, for the kind introduction. So, welcome everybody to our second session. We are going to have a discussion about how the showcase of the financial inclusion, how the Islamic finance can support the financial inclusion program. So, this is really an interesting topic in which, Alhamdulillah, together with us, we have joining with us 3 distinguished speakers who would like to share their experience on how they're implementing their program in promoting the financial inclusion. From the previous session, we have already got many insights and inspiring discussion about how digitalization and also the small medium enterprise also, and also the women empowerment in the related to promoting the economic empowerment with the relation of the how we are going to seek the exit strategy of the this COVID-19 pandemics. So we are now in the second session we are going to have a discussion about the implementation programs, and I will introduce the speakers of the session. First, we have Dr. Nabil Khalib, the Director of the Economic Empowerment Islamic Development Bank. Good morning, Dr. Khalib. Hope you're doing well. Yeah, thank you for joining. And the second speaker, we have Mr. Wawan Zukiarto, PhD, the analyst of Sukuk Negara Project, the Ministry of Finance. Good morning, Pak Wawan. Okay. And the third speaker, we have Ibu Eti Pratiknyawati, the head of PP Salimah. Selamat pagi, good morning, Bu Eti.
Assalamualaikum. Good morning.
Okay, Waalaikumsalam. Thank you for all distinguished speakers who are already joining in this second session. So we would like to hear from you the experience of your the programs, your institution, your communities, how the implementation of the Islamic finance program, and also your activities in empowering the economic activities, the real sectors, and how we are going to hear the sharing of the distinguished speaker, inshallah. So as the previous session, each speaker will have opportunity to share the materials about 15 minutes. And after that, we will have a question and answer session. So I invite those who have a question in the mind can write down your question in the chat box, in the question and answer box, and then later on we will have a discussion after each speaker delivered the presentation. So I'm going to introduce our first speaker, Dr. Nabil Khalib. Dr. Nabil Khalib is the Director of the Economic Empowerment Department at the Islamic Development Bank. And before joining Islamic Development Bank, Dr. Khalib was the chairman and the founding CEO of Zaituna Tamkin, the first and sole Islamic microfinance institution in Tunisia. He was also the founder of the International Center of Economic Empowerment and the founding president of Tamkin for Development. It is an NGO specialized in the economic empowerment of disadvantaged people. Previously, he held various senior positions at the Islamic Development Bank. He was also a senior executive advisor to the Mayor of Medina in charge of investment and founding members of Medina Municipal Investment Council. He is also has served a number of financial institutions and economic empowerment funds board since 2012, and he holds a PhD degree in finance and master degree in financial engineering with Board of Honor from Montreal University. So without further ado, I will give the first opportunity to Dr. Khalib to share the experience of how the Islamic Development Banks which also have the economic empowerment toolkit for its member countries, how the program was implemented and how it can enhance the economic welfare of the member countries. So please, Dr. Khalib, the time is yours.
طيب بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والصلاة والسلام على أشرف المرسلين سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته everyone. Good morning everybody, and thank you very much Dr. Lisa for this introduction. I am both delighted and honored to be part of this workshop and talk about ISDB economic empowerment approach of going beyond financial inclusion, because at ISDB we talk a lot about economic inclusion and a bit about financial inclusion. I prepared a presentation. I don't know if the support team can share it on the screen, but my presentation does include mainly 4 sections. After the introduction, of course, I will present the ISDB economic empowerment approach as a way or an approach for development for over the last years. I will share with you an overview, of course, of our operations and our COVID-19 response, mainly to support our member countries to overcome the challenging effect of the pandemic. And I will finally zoom in, to share with you our development efforts when it comes to the knowledge products and tools. Next, please. Next. Next. Yes. Let me start by basically reminding what's happening in our Muslim world, in our member countries. We have a lot of countries having high poverty rates. We have significant higher unemployment rates. We have also a rising number of refugees and population, and this depiction can only lead to one outcome. We should look and tackle the global issues differently and break free from the conventional and orthodox models, especially when it comes to serve the vulnerable categories at the bottom of the pyramid. So ISDB started this journey of poverty alleviation, since 25 years almost, with a kind of microfinance intervention for financial inclusion, and then this basically intervention has been transformed to kind of economic empowerment approach. So basically, we have strong track record in implementing poverty alleviation initiatives. We have built experience over the years, and we developed a kind of strong understanding, of poverty problematic and its different dimensions and components. And the aggregation of this knowledge and this experience is forming, as we speak today, the basis of cross-cutting new intervention model for poverty alleviation. And this initiative that was formed and shaped its strategic direction and vision on the basis of several success stories, but also on the basis of a lot of failure stories. And this is why we are confident that this model is efficient and this model can really be considered as a paradigm shift when it comes to serve poor people. So our interventions, as we speak, we have 62 interventions. We have a total portfolio exceeding 600 million. When we talk about fully fledged economic empowerment, microfinance intervention, but it does exceed $1.5 billion, if we take into consideration the projects whereby economic empowerment or microfinance is just a component of these projects. And this effort led to the job creation of 1.4 million jobs all over our member countries. We have a track record of successful intervention in different countries, and many of our projects have been awarded or by prestigious international forums. Next. So despite the success of our previous interventions, mainstreaming the economic empowerment approach require more comprehensive vision. And this is why the bank foresaw the potential of this approach and chose to make it as a tool, all right, to achieve the bank's vision of to empower people. And this is why the bank created a one-stop shop, a fully dedicated department, empowered with the kind of governance structure, with policies, and with appropriate funding to be able to serve this mandate, this noble mandate, and to be able to help our member countries when it comes to serve the bottom of the pyramid. Next. Next. So basically, here we at ISDB, it's important to share with you our understanding of poverty. We understood that poverty is multifaceted, problematic and very complex issue, and this is why our methodology addresses basically the following 6 barriers that prevent the poor people, to get their potential unlocked. So basically, we understood that there is difficulty when it comes to get access to a well-designed project opportunities, to a viable project opportunities. We understood also that the lack of intelligent and smart partnerships with the public sector, with the private sector, with NGOs, may prevent poor people from having access to viable and sustainable economic opportunities. And this is why we work a lot on the partnerships, and we try to connect poor people with the right partners to make sure to maximize their chance, to get access, as I say, to the pool of economic opportunities. We understood that poverty has to do also with the lack of affordable and appropriate supporting infrastructure, with also a difficulty to get access to the relevant markets. So sometimes you have a project, but you don't have a market, and this is a big issue. And this is why access to markets is for us a key component in our methodology. And also we understood that the lack of capacity and the weak belief in self-potential may prevent or may lock the full potential of the poor people to get uplifted from the circle of poverty, and of course the lack of access to inappropriate funding. If you look here at different barriers, funding for us is just one of the issues, and not the only issue, and not the most important issue. And this is very, very important when it comes to to understand the economic empowerment approach. Next. So basically, we talk over here about a paradigm shift. Why? Because economic empowerment basically is the movement from a relief, from an aid approach to a support and development approach. Economic empowerment would like to see people as key partners in the development. So we consider them as actors in the development, not as a burden to their societies and to their families. We consider, or we perceive poor people, as people with a great potential. They have latent and hidden capacities that should be discovered while working to change their mentalities, while working to change their mindsets, and to build the self-confidence and help them basically, to upgrade their capabilities and their capacities to be able basically to manage their economic empowerment projects. So this methodology enables the vulnerable categories, basically to participate effectively in value-added economic projects and to obtain resources and infrastructure necessary to move, necessary to produce, necessary to do the right marketing of their products, and to obtain, of course, the necessary financial resource. It's very, very important to understand that these are the pillars of theoretical pillars of our economic empowerment approach. And also, through some examples, I will explain how these pillars, are deployed or are applied when it comes to design our interventions. Next. So this is basically the paradigm shift from the financial inclusion to the economic inclusion. So we move from from mere financial services, micro saving, micro insurance, micro financing, to a comprehensive set of financial and non-financial services that include access to market, smart partnerships, basic infrastructure, support investment, appropriate funding, capacity building, and so on and so forth. And the main goal, as I said, is to make sure that the poor are equipped, to become a very dynamic and effective economic actor in a harsh economy, and make sure that we should not leave the poor people as free electron in this aggressive economy, and will be very well equipped with the right tools and the right, I would say, skills to be able to move forward and quit the circle of poverty for good. Next. It goes without saying that our approach is serving the SDG agenda. We are in line with 6 SDGs directly, and 10 or 11 SDGs goals indirectly. How we do that, how we implement now economic empowerment approach, is basically through different kind of intervention, through the economic empowerment funds, through the economic empowerment institutions, through the economic empowerment programs, and also through solution engineering and entrepreneurial design. For us, the funds and institutions are considered as non-sovereign intervention. The programs are basically done with governments, so they're qualified as sovereign interventions. For the funds, we establish a regional or country-specific economic empowerment fund, and basically these funds are designed in a way to attract the private sector, because it's very, very important to have the private sector on board, because the private sector has the know-how, has the money, can really, integrate the poor people in a kind of very well-structured value chains, and the presence of the private sector is important in this fund. And this is why when we design these funds, we make sure that they at least provide a minimum return to the private sector, but also with a great impact. We have good numbers of funds that have been launched, and mainly the Economic Empowerment Fund for the Palestinian people with $500 million. And this fund is dominated basically by the private sector. The Economic Empowerment Institution also, we participate in greenfield ones. It means we create new ones, or we participate in the brownfield ones. And the idea is to provide tailored package to this institution. So we provide equity, if possible, then line of financing to expand the operation, then a grant, all right, basically to upgrade the business model from financial inclusion, microfinance model, to economic empowerment model. It's very important to upgrade the business model to talk about economic empowerment. Otherwise, we will be stuck to again to a microfinance model with no big impact on the life of people. When it comes to the program, we design, we develop, and we execute the programs in collaboration with a large network of partners, and also in collaboration with our regional hubs deployed in 5 continents, to make sure that they are close to our programs, and to make sure that these programs are very well monitored and implemented. Now we have also another very, very important function, which is solution engineering function. And this is a kind of cross-cutting function, backing up or supporting the different other interventions, the funds, the program, and institutions. So basically, we support the approach. We basically develop kind of customized package of in-house manuals, policies, toolkits, and on-field operation guides, and also business engineering. So we provide the business engineering services, and we have this know-how, and we make sure that this know-how should be transferred to our member countries through this solution engineering and entrepreneurial design. Next, please. So this is a kind of business model in the field, very simplified one, just to explain to you how we deploy, how we implement economic empowerment in practice. So basically, the methodology is based on building the right ecosystem to an effective win-win and pro-poor business interventions. The basic of this model, are as follows. So you see that the vehicles, I mean by vehicles, the economic empowerment institution or funds or even programs, engineers the economic empowerment program. So we have people that go on the ground, to come up with ideas that are in line with the competitive advantage of the target population, and we identify the needed supported infrastructure for this specific project, and we ensure that the project is a valuable investment opportunity for all involved parties. It's very important that we talk about win-win approach. Economic empowerment is about finding out this common ground of win-win area, that whereby all those stakeholders can meet in. Then this economic empowerment vehicle sets an agreement with the kind of strategic partner or more, one or more strategic partner among the actors in the value chain of the project sector. And the strategic partner should be stakeholders that is interested in off-taking beneficiaries of production to secure the market at least. Then these vehicles, economic empowerment vehicles, facilitate a contractual business relationship between the strategic partner and the end beneficiaries, and ensure that a fair pricing and market conditions are agreed upon between the different stakeholders to protect the interest of the served categories, the vulnerable categories. And then the economic empowerment vehicles proceed to the actual implementation of the project by providing the necessary capacity building, the technical assistance, and required financing to the end users to enable them basically to produce the output that is compliant with the standards agreed upon with the strategic partners. So we make sure that these people, are as equal as any player in this economic cycle, and they can produce outputs or services compliant to or up to the standards, local standards or international ones. So so this is basically the business model. Next, please. We have a different model used. The good news is that there is no template for economic empowerment. It's basically based on business engineering. There is a heavy component of business engineering, and this is why the sky is the limit. There is no basically a kind of template that is replicable, in different countries. No, we go to the country, we understand the macroeconomic and microeconomic context. We understand the economic dynamics. We analyze the needs of the target population, and then we come up with the right projects. So we have different modes used over here. We have linking to markets, we have development and agriculture of our company, we have the incubator model, we have the partnerships with the lead firm, and so on and so forth. Just to give you a small example, in terms of development agriculture company, usually we develop a company and we train the youth to take over the company over a period of time through venture capital type of investment. And this is basically a kind of tripartite relationship. You find the end users, the youth or the vulnerable categories, you find the financial partner, and you find the technical partner to make sure that there is a know-how transfer to the youth. And the mode of financing is diminishing musharaka, also to allow or diminishing partnership, to allow the youth to take over their companies over a certain period of time when they acquire the know-how, when they have enough financial resources, and they become independent, when it comes to take the right economic decision. We have an excellent example in Sudan. We have an investee company called Irada that established the kind of agriculture company with a group of agriculture graduates, 700 graduates, with a degressive musharaka of 4.5 million. 4.5 million is not a microfinance. It means we can do large projects with vulnerable people, and this is very important because it's not about microfinance. It's about how to empower people through the right and the most appropriate mode of intervention. So Irada sold its participation to the graduates over the period of 5 years, ensuring profitability of its investment. And these graduates basically took over the whole company, and now they're exporting, to international markets, and they're doing very, very well. We have different other models. We have the incubator model. The incubator model is basically a kind of incubators developed through partnerships with the with a lot of entities, with commercial companies, with NGOs, with cooperatives, with financial institutions, and the incubators are provided with one or on-the-job technical support capacity building during the incubation product. So we give them the technical support. We build their capacity during the incubation period to produce a product needed by commercial companies, and these commercial companies play the role of takers. So they will buy, directly their products. After graduation, the incubators continue the provision of existing commercial partners, because now they have the know-how, now they have the network, and expand their services to other buyers through networking and business development. And basically, we did an excellent intervention in Egypt that was awarded in Paris Peace Forum, and this intervention served a large group of women in rural areas in the country. We have a lot of other programs and other models. Probably we don't have time to go through them, but I will be more than happy to address any question, if any, in the question and answer session. Next. 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 Next, please. We withdraw many.
You have 2 minutes left, Dr. Nabil. Thank you.
Yes, yes. So let me go quickly to the next session. Next, please. Next. Next. Yes, it's important to mention that we are building a growing portfolio. But let me focus on our COVID response. We developed a SERVE program and ISFD guarantee facility to basically strengthen the resilience of MSMEs in our member countries. So far, SERVE project, is serving more than 12 member countries. We have many official requests in the pipeline. We mobilize around 400 million under SERVE program, and the program target is to create or maintain more than 300,000 jobs and provide more than 150,000 loans. Let me go quickly to the last section of development of knowledge products and tools, please, the 5th section. Kindly go to the slides. We believe that the development of knowledge product is very important. 5th slide, please. The 5th section, the last one. We have a program called SEED, as I said. We work a lot on developing training and advocacy on toolkits, knowledge products, on technology systems and platforms, on economic empowerment and portals, and mainly slide 39, please. Slide 39. And mainly, we developed 3 toolkits aimed basically to help financial institutions to adopt the economic empowerment approach. So when you look at the toolkits, you find the economic empowerment design toolkit with the objective basically to provide guidance and practical tools to embark on the journey to practice the economic empowerment approach. We developed also the Islamic financial product implementation toolkits, which is a step-by-step guide for financial and microfinance institutions on structuring and implementing commonly used Islamic mode of financing. And we developed monitoring and evaluation toolkits, having the objective of providing comprehensive guide for financial institutions to monitor their progress and self-evaluate their financial, social, economic empowerment performance. These toolkits are publicly available on our website, and as we speak, we have the English version of the toolkits, but we are working on the French and the Arabic translation, and you may find them on ISDB website, and they can be shared with the audience upon request. I will stop here. I have many things to share, but I will stop here for sake of time. Thank you very much for your attention. Back to you, Dr. Lisa.
Thank you, mashallah. Thank you so much, Dr. Nabi Kalbi, for sharing very informative and the program that have been implemented, the intervention that have been implemented by the Islamic Development Banks to the the member countries. So it is interesting to note that there is effort to shift the paradigm from not only financial but also to cover the broader the economic empowerment, how the program also the intervention also is being evaluated from time to time to get and to empower more the poor and to tackle the poverty with its complexity. So thank you. We later on will go back to you in the question and answer session. So later on we are moving to the second speaker. I would like to introduce our second speaker, Mr. Wawan Sukiarto, PhD. He is analyst of Sukuk Negara project from the Ministry of Finance. So previously he was lectured in universities in Indonesia, and also previously he was joined as an analyst in Sukuk Negara transaction, and also as the economic and fiscal risk analyst of the Indonesia state-owned enterprise. He has published several publications in journal and also in national newspapers, and he got his PhD in economics and finance from Queensland University of Technology, Australia, and the master of the bachelor and the master from University Gadjah Mada, Indonesia. So he will share to us the experience of the government of Indonesia, how the collaboration of the multiple authorities in Indonesia to implement the cash wakaf link sukuk. Pak Wawan, I hand over the platform to you. The platform is yours. Please, Pak Wawan. Pak Wawan, we cannot hear your voice. Maybe you still unmute. We see the slide but cannot hear your voice yet.
Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Okay. Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Yes, please, Pak.
Okay. Thank you so much for the invitation. Praise to Allah, Ketua Almighty and the most gracious and most merciful, for only with this blessing that we are able to gather this morning in good health and high spirit. It is an honor for me to be here among our distinguished speakers and participants in this excellent event. On this occasion, allow me to share some experience on government sovereign sukuk of Indonesia, especially cash wakaf bin sukuk. A wakaf, or Islamic endowment, is a precious act which not only serves as a philanthropic tool, but holds great potential for economic development. Before I explain more about cash wakaf bin sukuk, first let me show some general overview of government sukuk in Indonesia. Sukuk negara is a sovereign securities issue based on the principle of Syariah as evidence of the participation in a sukuk negara asset, either in Indonesia rupiah or in foreign currencies. Sukuk negara is one of the state budget financing instruments in the form of sovereign securities issued under the law number 19 of 2008. On 2008, the government for the first time issued sukuk negara in the domestic primary market, namely the Islamic fixed rate. Then, continue in early 2009, government began to offer sukuk to Indonesian citizen or individual investor, named retail sukuk series. In the international market, the government also issued a sukuk negara series (SNI) in a foreign currency on 2009. Global sukuk was a debut issuance from the government of Indonesia in international market, and become the largest super spread issuance denominated in US dollar outside the Gulf countries. And also, SNI become the first benchmark of the super denominated in US dollars in Asia since 2009. To increase the benefits in management of hedge funds and also reduce community endowment fund and provide benefit to the state budget by providing source of sustainable financing, the government issue hedge fund Suko series in 2019 also through private placement method. And then to provide mechanism for effective and efficient Suku Negara issuance, also in the fourth quarter of 2009, the government started to issue Suku Negara through auction for the first time. Then the government issue a new type of Suku instrument like issuing treasury bills and also project-based Suku. And then also in the auction, the primary auction, the government implement issue option in the auction. In the second phase, the government began issuing a type of project-based Suku when the proceeds were earmarked for specific project. It good response from various parties and was considered as a solution of scarcity of the infrastructure project financing, which the need was quite high. Then in 2016, the government issued a new type of retail Suku, namely savings Suku, with the main feature cannot be traded in the secondary market, but it says early redemption facility. Last, on the latest phase in 2018 until 2022, the government issued a global green Suku for the first time, then online retail Suku, so green Suku for the retail investor, and also cash wakat earning Suku. Suku Negara it can be issued in three ways. The first is by book building, and then private placement, and also auction. And then in terms of the investor of Suku, there are two types of investor. The first is a domestic investor, consists of institution and also individual investor. And the second, on the global investor divided by the region, such as Middle East, and then Europe, US, and also Asia, including Indonesia. Based on the Suku Negara instrument, the government has two types of instrument. This is the domestic Suku and also global Suku. For domestic Suku, there are two types Suku instrument. The first is for the wholesale, and the second is for the retail or individual investor. For the structure of the Suku Negara, and we know we have four types of the Suku Negara structure. The first is Ijaro sale leaseback, and then Ijaro al-Kadamat, and Ijaro aset pilis, and the latest is the Wakalah kontrak of the Suku structure. As of April 14, 2022, the total issuance Suku Negara reached around 2,000 trillion rupiah, or equal is 140 billion US dollar. With the total outstanding is more than 1,000 trillion rupiah. During 2018 until 2020, there are several Suku Negara innovation. Firstly, on the right top box, the project, there is a project financing Suku. So Suku is issued to finance government project directly or earmarked from 2013 until now. Suku Negara finance many infrastructure projects such as road, bridge, university building, laboratorium, and others, with the total budget around 175 trillion rupiah. And the government also develop and implement MONEF for monitoring and evaluating project construction progress by online system. And secondly, at the right bottom, for the retail investor, the government released the ESPN, the online retail, an online retail platform which provide easy access for the retail investor to be able to order a government security online. The government augmented bank, including a Syariah bank, securities company, and also fintech company as a distribution partner of the ESPN. Next, on the left bottom, Indonesia is a strongly commitment to combating climate change and is also one of the nation's most susceptibility to climate-induced disaster. Thus, Indonesia has made a number of commitments to step up climate change adaptation and mitigation priority. So, the government issued green support. The Republic has also developed SDG government security framework, which plan the issuance not only finance to the green projects, but also the blue economy and social purpose. So the 100 of the proceeds is also exclusively to finance or refinance expenditure directly related to the thematic project. In the international market, from 2019 until now, the government issued the global green sukuk and then also on green sukuk retail in the domestic market. Last, for cash backup sukuk, the government commit to support the development of social investment and the development of productive wakaf in Indonesia. So issue the wakaf link sukuk. Through sukuk wakaf, the government facilitate cash wakaf, both temporary and also permanent. So people or investor, they can invest their cash wakaf in a safe and productive investment instrument such as sukuk negara. In 2018, the government Indonesia launched an electronic government security trading platform for retail and then ESPN. There are a lot of advantages of playing ESPN. First, support the development of Islamic financial market and also financial inclusion. And second is encourage the transformation of the society from the saving to investment oriented. And the third is also this platform. Through this platform, investor can buy in small unit of purchasing, and then 24 hours access and user friendly, and also convenient and fairness for the investor. Then, with the online system, order group from the eastern part of Indonesia increased significantly. Compare the previous method with the online with the offline system. Now, the last is the online system create more new investor dominated by the young generation or the millennial generation. Why is Islamic social finance necessary in Indonesia? There are several reasons. Based on Charities Aid Foundation in the report 2018, and also in 2021, the latest report Indonesia is also in the number one. That's Indonesia have the highest proportion of the people donating money, and being the only developing country of the 5 most generous country in the world in 2018. As of 2017, the Indonesian population reached 263 million, with more than 80% is Muslim, and also the middle class is estimated around 52 million. So the Islamic social finance embodies social responsible and also sustainable development. And Islamic social finance engaging with a religious organization is crucial for peace, development, and promoting tolerance. And wakaf is a more flexible platform. It gives long-term benefit and generate income. And WACAP has been playing a significant socioeconomic role throughout its story, and also existing potential benefits to improve socioeconomic development as within WACAP even today. Based on the previous background, so the government launched the cash WACAP link support with several aims. First is the government want to develop and innovate the Islamic social finance and investment in Indonesia. And also the government facilitate the wakif to invest cash wakaf in shape financial instrument or in suku negara. And the third is supporting development of the Islamic financial market, especially in the cash wakaf industry. And the fourth, encouraging the consolidation of the Islamic social funds to finance various social projects and programs. So not only from the government, is diversify investor and also suku negara instrument. And last is the government want to encourage the diversification of the Sharia banking business through optimizing the role of the Sharia banking. Then the graphs shown the WACAP link super scheme in the first series. In the first step, that's the WACAP transfer fund to Nasib partner. There's the fund can be temporary cash WACAP or perpetual cash WACAP. Then Nazir sign a memorandum of understanding with Indonesian WACAP board based on the MOU. Indonesian WACAP board purchase support to Ministry of Finance, and then Ministry of Finance issue cash WACAP in support. The Ministry of Finance use proceed to finance government project, and the coupon from the cash WACAP in support used to finance the social project by the Nazir. And Nazir, in the majority, the government redeem a suko and also refund the fund to Nazir. For temporary cash WACAP, WACAP will receive the principal fund full 100%, but for the perpetual cash WACAP, the fund, the principal fund will be held by the Nazir. Okay, next. This is one of the case study of cash WACAP in support that have issued before, which is the cash WACAP in support series SW001. This suko issued on March 10, 2020, with the issuance size is around 50 billion rupiah, or equivalent 3.5 million US dollar. The suko is non-tradable with the wakalah structure, and the coupon is 5% per annual, with yield at issue is 6.15%, and the maturity date is on March 10, 2025. For this issuance, the government used the private placement method. For this project, Indonesian WACAP board needs 2 years to raise the fund. And also from this case study, we know that the majority investor are institutions, and individual participants is very small. So Nasir used a proceed to renovate WACAP hospital building and procurement medical equipment in the same hospital, and the coupon will be used to free cataract surgery for Duafa at Ahmad Wardi Hospital, and also for ambulance procurement. For the cataract surgery, is targeted for 200.
Pak Wawan, excuse me, you have 2 minutes left. Thank you.
Okay. Next. From about variant. There are several architecture ways. The first is related with the social literacy and inclusion of cash backup is still low in Indonesia, and the management and also need to be improved. Management of the Nazir and still limited of the cash backup fundraisers, especially from individual. And the last is from the online platform. That's the government is committed to increase and support financial policies in Indonesia. This is the last one. We expected, and that's and the next and the future. That's the literacy, public awareness, and also the financial inclusion is increased. And there's the optimum management of cash backup, and also the optimum result of the cash backup result. I think this is my last session. Thank you so much, Bu Lisa. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Okay, Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you so much, Pak Wawan, for sharing the experience of the Indonesia, especially the government of Indonesia, how initiate the innovation in which the sukuk not only can also involve the work sector, the social finance, so that it hopefully can later on increase the financial inclusion to broader Indonesian societies, and not only Indonesian, the sukuk also previously Pak Wawan mentioned that it's already go global, so it's not only for the Indonesian society. Okay, thank you so much, Pak Wawan, for sharing the interesting and the informative about the sukuk of the government in Indonesia. So later we are moving to the third speaker who are going to share the experience currently about the community. Here we have Ibu Eti Pratiknyawati. Ibu Eti Pratiknyawati. Waalaikumsalam, Ibu. Ibu Eti is the head of PP Salimah. She graduated from the majoring agriculture from the same university, Pak Wawan, Universitas Gadjah Mada. Previously, she was the director of PT Salimah Prima Citra, and also was the commissioner in several positions related to Salimah as well. Maybe later on, Bu Eti can share with us the scope of Salimah activities, and also the supervisor of cooperation. I think it is also related to Salimah, Koperasi Salimah Sejahtera Indonesia. So without further ado, I will hand over the platform to Ibu Eti. Please, Bu Eti, you have 15 minutes to share the materials. And I also invite those who have questions to post your question in the chat box. Please, Bu Eti, the times and the platform is yours.
Yeah, thank you very much, Dr. Lisa. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. The Honorable Dr. Peri Warjio, Governor of Bank Indonesia, Professor Dr. Komarudin Hidayat, Rector of International Islamic University of Indonesia, dear speakers and participants. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin, wassalatu wassalamu ala asrofil anbiya'i sayyidina Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajmain. Asyhadu an la ilaha illallah wa asyhadu anna Muhammadar Rasulullah. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul 'uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. Thank you for the opportunity. It's an honor for me to be part of this seminar. Nice to meet all of you. My name is Eti Pratiknyawati, head of Persaudaraan Salimah or Salimah. On this happy occasion, we would like to introduce Salimah as a national community organization and our programs. Excuse me, I will operate my presentation. say. Yes. Ladies and gentlemen, Salimah is a mass organization that's founded in 2000, whose background is the concern about various problems that exist in Indonesia, particularly related to women, children, and Indonesian families. Salimah's vision in this period is to become the pioneer of women-based organization, improving the quality of life of Indonesian women, children, and families. Salimah's program focuses on dakwah, education, and economic. Alhamdulillah, until today, Salimah structure exists in 34 provinces, 371 districts, 1,745 sub-district, 603 urban villages, and 1 representative in Taiwan. Salimah membership is open to Indonesian women who are 18 years old or married. The member of Salimah comes from various background in education, socio-economic, and ethics. In order to improve the quality of life of women, children, and families, especially in the economic sector, Salimah has launched the National Economic Movement, which takes reference to Quran, Surah Yusuf, verse 47 until 49. The movement is known as Gen Salimah, or Gerakan Ekonomi Nasional Salimah, which have 5 movements. They are productivity, saving, frugal, micro business, shopping, and investment. This movement encourages women and families to be productive, have a simple lifestyle, saving most in the corporate owned by Salimah, shopping and buying a product that belong to Salimah's members or cooperative, and investing in the form of shares at PT Salimah Prakarsa Cemerlang. Currently, Salimah has a cooperative called Koperasi Serba Usaha Salimah or KOSUMA. It's our multi-purpose Syariah cooperative that exists in 87 regions throughout Indonesia. The KOSUMA program was started in 2006 as a Sharia financial institution to provide services and help the needs of Salimah members. Since 2020, the outlet program launched in order to support the business development of cooperative members, and 485 outlets were opened nationally. The existence of KOSUMA aims to help members and the community to avoid the usury system, which is prohibited in Islam. Alhamdulillah, KOSUMA has helped the community from the trap of moneylenders. The existence of KOSUMA is very helpful for members who need assistance during the pandemic, either for business capital or for other needs. In developing digital finance, Koperasi Salimah Sejahtera Indonesia, or KSSI, launched KSSI digital product called Kasih Mobile. Kasih Mobile as a tangible manifestation of Salimah support for government programs in the welfare and advancement of entrepreneurs through cooperative especially in order to improve the quality of life of Indonesian women and families. Salimah has also developed a business in the distribution of processed frozen food under PT Salimah Prakarsa Cemerlang with the Salimah Food brand. Salimah wants to provide halal and toyib products that are needed by Indonesian families and peoples, especially Salimah members. During the pandemic, public demand for frozen food product increased along with the policy of community activity restriction PPKM. Capital support of the company owned by Salimah is obtained for the sale of shares and collecting productive wakaf from the Salimah Wakaf institution or Lembaga Wakaf Salimah. During the COVID-19 pandemic, many families were affected. There were even some Salimah members who lost their families who were passed away due to COVID. Many Salimah administrators or members became widows. In addition to that, there are also economic impact. Many families are economically affected, thus losing their source of family income. Salimah pays attention to members through a compensation program with charity and also empowerment through business assistance. Salimah National Program in assisting women business, especially widows, is providing capital for 1,000 widows of Salimah members in Indonesia. Alhamdulillah, the program ran well thanks to the support from donors and partner institutions. Salimah approach to members affected by the pandemic is not only economical aspect, but also in a faith-based approach. To tell the pandemic is a test and must be faced with faith and good deeds. As stated in Surah Al-Mulk, verse 2, Alladzi khalaqal mauta wal hayata liyabluwakum ayyukum ahsanu amala. In Salimah's dakwah program reminds members of Salimah and people to remain calm with the belief in the existence of Allah Almighty. The family approached nationally by Salimah with the spirit of helping each other through the Jumat Berkah program in the form of basic food support for the community. The support comes from donation collected from the community, partner institutional, and GSR. The Jumat Berkah program is still continue to this day. The principle of fund management as stated in the Surah Al-Hasr, verse 7, Kaila yakuna dulatan bainal aghniya'i minkum, so that the asset do not revolt only among the rich. Next, various training were conducted to increase immunity of the people through knowledge about nutrition in the food consumptions. Community activities are held both online and offline. The segment of this community activities is on the village level. Jadi in offline activities on village level. Salimah hopes the training conducted by the community is each village will help the community to be physically, mentally, and financially healthy. Next, as we can see here, the whole activity in Salima is an ecosystem that is formed, where every sector, dakwah, economic, and education were related to each other. We believe that every good deeds we do in Salima will bring a blessing for us and become the solution of the economic problems. That is all from me. We hope our experience related to the inclusion finance and sustainable economic theme and provide an input on a concrete Sharia financial strategy to support the exit strategy policy. Sorry for everything. Thank you for your attention. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you so much, Ibu Eti, for sharing very interesting experience of Salima that already covering various activities, not only economic empowerment, but also da'wah and also education, mashallah. So we already hearing the sharing from the distinguished speakers here from the International Development Bank. Dr. Khalif have shared with us the intervention and the program they already implemented. Dr. Pak Wawan already shared with us the experience of Indonesia in issuing the cash wakaf link sukuk, which accommodated the collaboration, not only the commercial sector, but also the social sector, the Nazir and the wakaf institution is interesting. And Ibu Eti has already shared with us how the experience of a community in Indonesia that already empowered the women, and also it already also serve and offer various products that not only in terms of financial, like in cooperative, but also the product in real sector that can be sold to the society. So we are moving to the question and answer session. We have several questions posted in the chat. I still will invite those who have questions. You can post your question in the chat box or in the question and answer box. So the first question, I think it is for Dr. Khalif from Pak Yudi Priyambodo. I will read the question. So microfinance in Indonesia has been fully supported by government actually several decades ago. However, maybe based on your experience, what is the best important thing that should be completed beside the capacity building and the capability building in line with the microfinance empowerment? Please, Dr. Khalif.
Yes, thank you very much for this question. As I said in my presentation, economic empowerment is about providing a comprehensive package to poor people. From engineering the right business opportunity. And this right business opportunity, basically, we send teams on the ground to analyze the microeconomic context, to analyze the needs of the population, to better understand their capabilities and skills, and to come up with a kind of viable business opportunities that are aligned with the competitive advantage of the regions where these people live. So this is a very important service. And I always say that economic empowerment vehicles act as a kind of investment bank for poor people, all right? They provide the same services as the investment banks are providing. The second, service beyond building capacities, of course, is smart partnerships. These people need partnerships. They need to partner with the public sector. They need to partner with the private sector. They need to partner with NGOs, but they don't know how. They don't have the connections. They don't have the ability and the bargaining power to go and to speak for themselves. And this is why economic empowerment vehicles, play this role and should connect these people to the right partners depending on the nature of the project. The other service, of course, is access to market. There is absolutely no point if we build a project with no market. And this is why usually, under economic empowerment approach, we start by the backward approach. We secure the market, we secure the off-taker, and then we build the project. This is very, very important because the market will assure sustainability of the interventions. Some projects, as we speak now, they are exporting to international markets because we upgrade the skills of these people and they are producing products up to the international standards. Another very important services beyond capacity building is, of course, the basic infrastructure. Sometimes we can unlock the potential of a region with very simple infrastructure project. And usually, it can be done, through the NGOs, it can be done through the public authorities, and so on and so forth. Also, capacity building is important, basic infrastructure is important, support investment is important, and funding is important. So to make the long story short, we are talking about a comprehensive set of non-financial services. Of course, beyond capacity building is important, but these services are complementary to the capacity building to talk about economic empowerment methodology to poor people. Back to you, Dr. Lisa.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Nabil, for answering the question. So we are moving to the next question from Dr. Abdul Rashid. So I think he didn't mention the specific speakers, so maybe I will give opportunity for the speakers to later on maybe add on if you have any additional comments. So he questioned one of the obstacles to access to the banking can be caused by the business model of the bank itself, the market position, the level of competition faced, macroeconomic condition, as well as the agreements and the regulation implemented. When the increase in financial inclusion, our topic today, is carried out with the aims to reduce the poverty, equitable distribution of the development and the growth result. So according to him, the inclusive finance cannot be separate from the country's policy and the financial instrument. So according to your experience, maybe you would like to share with us how can the financial stability of the state can be maintained and remain stable, considering the policy and then the financial instrument. Maybe I will give opportunity first to Pak Wawan to answer this question.
Thank you so much, Lisa. That is the interesting question. The first is, I think, is about this collaborative working. That is part of the government, society, and also the financial institution. And we know that if any stakeholder have their role, if they collaborate to make some program or maybe to reduce that's like poverty in one area or region, I think we can spread out across Indonesia. And the second is related with the regulation. That's all the regulators should keep on track with the regulation or commitment to reduce and like in the financial inclusion, and also to reduce about the disparity related with people. I think my answer, Abu Lisa. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you, Pak Wawan, for sharing, for answering the question. Do Dr. Nabil or Ibu Eti have additional comment regarding to how to promote the financial stability regarding to the country's policy and the instrument? Dr. Nabil, maybe you have an additional comment?
No specific comment with regards to that, but I have another comment about the correlation and the likelihood between economic empowerment and the socioeconomic stability in general. A lot of studies, a lot of empirical evidence has shown that people who benefit from economic empowerment projects are more involved in their society, are more active in their communities, and are far away from a lot of issues like illegal immigration, like crimes, like terrorism, and so on and so forth. Which means that economic empowerment is a powerful tool. It's a powerful tool for socioeconomic stability, because at the end of the day, we are expanding the assets of people, we are creating growth, and we are distributing this wealth or this growth more equitably between people. Of course, you know, the socioeconomic stability definitely will help. I would say it's one of the factors that would lead definitely to financial stability and to more growth in the economy. So this is the input I have. It's not related basically to financial stability, but it's related to socioeconomic stability in general.
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Nabil, for giving the feedback. So we are going to I would like to read the other question posted in the chat box. I think it is from Pak Sobian to Ibu Eti. Would you like to share with us how to open the new branch in here? I think Pak Sobian in Kalimantan. Maybe you can share how is the procedure to open a new branch of Salimah.
Yeah. Thanks for the question. We already have a representative every province in Indonesia, include is Kalimantan. For further information, please visit our website salimah.org. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Bu Eti. So for all the audience who attend this session, who curious to how to open the new branch of Salimah, you can see in the website, salimah.org.id. Okay. I will go back to Dr. Nabil here. There is a question from the anonymous attendee. Dr. Nabil, you said earlier that poor infrastructure and lack of access to good business opportunities are problems that occur quite often in financial inclusion. Can you elaborate on how Islamic Development Banks evaluates and chooses the right partner in developing countries to minimize all of the problems above? Please, Dr. Nabil.
Sorry, Dr. Lisa, I did not get the question. Can you repeat it, please?
Yes. You previously mentioned that poor infrastructure and lack of access to good business opportunities are problems that occur quite often in financial inclusion. So can you elaborate how Islamic Development Banks evaluates and chooses the right partners in developing countries to minimize all of the problems above? The poor infrastructure and lack of access of good business opportunities.
Yes. When I presented the business model, I explained that basically the economic empowerment vehicles play a very active role in serving the poor people. They often propose the project ideas. Again, through a very active teams on the ground. So they are very, very close to the population. They have to understand on ground what's going on. It's not about copy and paste. They do their best to bring together the beneficiaries in sustainable structural projects and offer the necessary financing alongside with all these non-financial services, not only through their own staff, but also they seek assistance of external experts and technicians, depending on the need and the nature of the project. And these experts, they come to evaluate, they come to evaluate what kind of projects that may be successful in that region, not the other region. We may have, successful projects by other region, but they cannot be replicated. They cannot be copied in other region with other beneficiaries. And this is why we call business engineering, right? This infrastructure, of course, is a part of the whole assessment. The business opportunity is the part of the whole intervention. Is not the only one, but it's a part of it. The institution or the economic empowerment vehicles also, sometimes they represent the beneficiaries in almost everything. They find the investment opportunities. They develop these opportunities in the form of business models and plans. They build important smart partnerships for the success of the project. They also negotiate sometimes with the suppliers, and the downstream or in the mainstream, downstream or the upstream, to help beneficiaries to get access to local and international market. Also, they negotiate for them, to get equipment and machines, at very lower price because they have this negotiation power. And most of the time, this economic empowerment vehicles also design and propose new forms of guarantees, even for these beneficiaries to better manage their risks for the project and proceed to offer them a kind of I would say, a kind of risk management approach from end to end. Because at the end of the day, when you propose the business opportunity, when you propose the guarantee, when you propose the off-taker, when you design the project, you are at the end of the day managing the risk on behalf of poor people. You are at the end of the day shielding them from, as I said, the aggressive dynamics of the economy to make sure that they will grow up and they become entrepreneurs and they uplift and quit the circle of poverty. This is how we do economic empowerment. So yes, business opportunity, this is how we design, as we act like investment bank for poor people. We have experts, specialized in different sectors. But this is not enough. This should be done in full, under a full vision of a comprehensive set of financial and non-financial services.
Okay.
Hopefully, my answer is clear.
Yes, it's already answered the question. Thank you, Dr. Nabil. Okay, we have other question from Ibu Palupi. I think it is for Pak Wawan. How was the impact of Sukuk in improving financial inclusion in Indonesia? Maybe Ministry of Finance have several indicators that you would like to share. Please, Pak Wawan.
Thank you so much for the question, Ibu Palupi. The first is we have indicator. The one is the number of the investor. That's from 2009 until now 2022, and the increasing number of the retail investor. And the second is also about that's Syariah banking. The role of the Syariah banking in our financial system is also improved, and they also participate in the Sukuk auction in regularly. And the third is related with that's the literacy in society. And the Minister of Finance always regularly making that's like the information sharing session, or also lecturing for the society about the literacy, financial literacy, and also financial inclusion. So if the public know well about the financial inclusion and also the benefit of the financial instrument, I think is will benefit for our society, our set of stability, and also our financial inclusion. As you know, in the last 2021, the total number of the investor and the retail investor in from Sukuk is more than 270 investors. I think it's a lot of investors, and in the future, the government's commit to create making a program to reduce the poverty and others the social problem in our society. I think that's my answer for Lisa. Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much, Pak Wawan. So, of course, the Ministry of Finance have several indicators that measure the impact of the Sukuk, that it is true to that it is improved the financial inclusion, especially in Indonesia. So I think we already addressed all the questions that have been posted by the audience. There is also, I think, another audience who asks about more about Salimah. I think Bu Eti already answered that I spoke that those who have interested to know more about Salimah, you are welcome to visit the website. It is salimah.org.id. So I think we are already addressed all questions. So with this, we also come to the end of the session. I really thank you for all the distinguished speakers. They already share with us the experience of their institution. But from the Islamic Development Bank, Dr. Khalib have shared with us their experience, and also Pak Wawan have shared especially about the sukuk and cash wakaf link sukuk. It's and okay, I think because maybe it will be the last question, because we still have some time to Pak Wawan, I think. Salimah is also a Nazir of Cash Wakaf. So how do we, with various community social program, can be part of Cash Wakaf link sukuk? I think it will be a last question for Pak Wawan.
Okay, thank you so much for the question. I think it's an interesting question. How do we, with various community social programs, become part of Cash Wakaf link sukuk? I think for the community, you know that the government involved like the Islamic Bank and then Nasir. So if the various community want to participate or on the part of the Cash Wakaf link sukuk, I think it's better they are to communicate also coordinate with the Syariah Bank as the distribution partner of Cash Wakaf link sukuk, because you know that for the we have divided our role. So the government just focus on the instrument, and for the social activity or social program, this is the main priority of the main job of the Islamic Bank is as distribution partner of Cash Wakaf link sukuk. I think it's my answer, Bulisa.
Yes.
So I think
okay. Thank you so much, Pak Wawan. I think it is our last question in this second session. Once again, I would like to appreciate all the distinguished speakers who already share with us all the informative and insightful programs, how the international institution like Islamic Development Bank, and also complement with the experience of the government in Indonesia in issuing sukuk, especially cash wakaf link sukuk, and also Bu Eti have shared with us about the experience of the communities also can, with the various programs, can support the financial inclusion, especially the program of Islamic finance. So it's already a really insightful discussion. I also would like to thank all the audience who stay until this end of this second session. Hopefully we get a lot of insight and also a benefit from this session. And with this, I end the session. Thank you so much, and wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi.
Thank you, Dr. Lisa Listiana, and all speakers. What an insightful discussion we had today. We humbly expect that all participants to highlight some strategic issues and also take a further action about it. If I'm not mistaken, Cash Wakaf link sukuk currently in offering session, so you can check about it. And also check out the salimah.or.id to further explore about a PP Salimah. So we would like to invite again all speakers from the second session, along with our distinguished guests and participants, to participate in virtual photo session. Okay, we also invite all participants to turn on their camera for the photo sessions. We will take 2 shots of photo on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Perfect. Okay, once again, 1, 2, 3. Okay, thank you for your participation. Ladies and gentlemen, now we have finally reached the end of our event, Seminar on Financial Inclusion and Sustainable Economy, the side event of G20 Presidency 2022 and part of Road to Ninth Indonesia Sharia Economic Festival 2022. Thank you for sharing your time with us today. Hopefully it was a great, wonderful, and informative discussion for you. Allow me, Anissa Hasmawati, on behalf of the committee, to close today's discussion and we hope to meet you on another event. Stay safe and have a blessed Ramadan ahead. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.